Well, hiya, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. Wanted to come to you today with the Friday reads on a Saturday morning, but a little late, but better late than never, they say. So I want to tell you how the week's going and how my reading's going. I got a couple of new items that I picked up. I want to show to you, and just what my plans for the coming weeks with my reading, what they're going to be. And so, this week we've been continuing our journeys at school. We've continued looking at some primary sources in class. The kids are, I think, thoroughly enjoying those. We looked at Pearl Harbor, and we looked at some stuff from with my 8th grade group. We were looking at Joseph Plum Martin, who was a Revolutionary War soldier. We looked at some stuff from him, and I know yesterday we were studying women in the American Revolution, and we were partaking in a National Geographic article actually, and we were reading Patriots and Petticoats. That's our weekend homework read, and so we've been just continuing that journey, trying to continue to pass on my love of learning, love of reading to my students at school. And so we've been doing that, and some other big events this week. Of course, we had the presidential inauguration, and I was able to go through with all my classes on Wednesday. Wednesday and Thursday, because the morning classes, the early ones, wouldn't have, the inauguration hadn't happened yet, obviously. So we did my early morning classes, we did Thursday morning so that they could watch part of the inauguration. And we pulled out the Constitution, and we started looking at just where does this fall in the Constitution? Why are they doing this? Why do we have this big celebration? And we just talked about the beauty of democracy and the peaceful change in power. And that was kind of cool to be able to watch that and then show them in the Constitution how that legally works for our country. And we talked about a few other major events that have been going on in the news and showed them in the Constitution where this was happening. So when the Congress came back into session, we were looking at the Congress, or the House, will elect their leader, their speaker, and we saw where that was at, and we talked about the impeachment process and how that all works out, and we talked about just the oath of office. We talked about why it's done at noon on the 20th day of January. We looked at all of those little issues, and we spent the day on Wednesday doing that, and Thursday morning for my earlier classes. So that was nice to be able to show them democracy in action. But anyway, this last week, or last couple weeks rather, I got some stuff in the mail, and I wanted to show that to you, or one of them's in the mail. I got my American History magazine in the mail. This one might have been 2 weeks ago. I think I just forgot to put it in the Friday reads the last couple weeks. But our headliners are FDR's power move. He shocked big business and electrified America. And so, getting into his stuff with I'm guessing the TVA. I haven't read the article yet, but I'm guessing that's what it is. And then some of the other articles, we got Nantucket's Trial by Firestorm, American Legacy and Japan's Shadow, Women's Suffrage on the Big Screen, and then The Luxury Craft That Sailed to War. And so this has got plenty of stuff in it to look at, so I'm pretty excited to get that and read through that. I also found at the little book, the free book library box that's downtown in our small town. I found another piece of nonfiction. It's Trapped at Pearl Harbor: Escape from the Battleship Oklahoma by Stephen Bauer Young. And so I don't know how this is going to be, but we were studying, Pearl Harbor in class and looking at stuff with World War II, so I thought this is very appropriate. And so I'd like to read the inside cover to you, if you don't mind. So it says, Trapped at Pearl Harbor, Escape from the Battleship Oklahoma. So Stephen Young's ordeal in the Oklahoma is undeniably one of the most dramatic stories to unfold during the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. A seaman assigned to gunnery duty, Young and the other men at of turret number 4 tried to man their battle stations as the Oklahoma was hit by 5 torpedoes and began to sink. They were ordered to remain below in the turret, however, and were trapped when the ship overturned, despite last-minute efforts to abandon ship. Here, Young describes that terrifying experience with stunning clarity. He recounts the violence of the capsizing, which killed and injured many men, and the survivors' frantic search for an escape route. He remembers their horror at finding all exits blocked and their despair of being rescued. His account of their next 25 hours is incredibly real. The water's inexorable rise, inch by awful inch, the sickening taste of the fuel oil, the foul smell of the air, the nervous wisecracks echoing through the cold darkness, and finally the silence. The reader is placed in the midst of the horror. In the intensity and suspense of Young's story rival that of any fictional thriller. His recounting of the escape is spellbinding. In addition to his own experience, Young offers little-known tales of tragedy and bravery that occurred elsewhere on that day of infamy for a broader picture. And so this is a picture of our author there. But I'm guessing that's going to be a pretty good account of the battle at Pearl Harbor. And this comes from North River Press and the Naval Institute Press out of New York or Annapolis, Maryland, and it is a 1991 book. So I'm looking forward to looking into this and reading it. It's not too big, so it shouldn't take very long to get through it when I get it started. Less than 200 pages. So I'm pretty excited about that. Some other things that are going on here at the Ruttenberg Library. We've been doing, we did a couple tags this week. That was kind of fun. Got to get my daughter involved in the tags. And earlier in the week, I'd made an announcement that I was going to do, because I recently hit 500 subscribers, and also I've been on BookTube for 1 year. So when my daughter and we put our heads together, talked about what to do, and we decided that a Q&A video was appropriate. And so I put out a call for questions, and I was going to take questions for pretty much the entire week, all the way till last night at midnight. And so today, when I go to upload this video, I am going to go and copy off all the questions and print those out and start thinking about answers, and then I'll make a video here in the next day or two and get that uploaded, a Q&A video. So I'm pretty excited about that. We had lots of responses to the video, and I just take that as great news for the channel, and I appreciate all of the subscribers and the new subscribers to the channel, the old subscribers that have been with me from the beginning. I just really appreciate that. So that's a pretty big celebration, I think, and I'm pretty excited about that. So anyway, some books that I've been reading this week. The one that I literally just finished about 5 minutes ago, Tales of the South Pacific by James Michener. Earlier in the summer, I had made a plan for myself that I wanted to go through and read all of the James Michener books. Not in 1 year. I couldn't get that done. But, slowly but surely have one in the works, and, every couple months get one started. And so I had started, I wanted to go to the beginning, right to the beginning of his writing career. And I pulled James Michener's Tales of the South Pacific, started reading it, and I actually was going to DNF it, and it just was not, for whatever reason, was not catching my interest, and I was really struggling with this book. But something in me at the beginning of the year said, you need to go back and pick that back up and give it one more try. There's too many people that like the book for you to, give up on it that easy. And plus, I also was going through my TBR list from last year that I didn't finish, and this one's on a couple different TBR lists. So I wanted to, that was one of my yearly goals, was to knock out my TBR list. So I went back, gave Tales of the South Pacific a second chance, and man, am I glad I did. The book is really, it's got a string of characters that all have their own individual stories, all soldiers and nurses and stuff like that are people that were in the South Pacific during World War II. And it's all their individual stories, but yet there's connection across the board with the different characters. And it was good. I'm really glad that I went back and revisited this. All the individual stories were interesting. There's a couple of them that maybe I didn't care for, but most of them I actually enjoyed. And I don't know if it was something with my reading life or what. At that point, what I had going on in life, stress and stuff. Sometimes when I read a book, I'm in a mood and I can't enjoy it, and maybe I just didn't give myself a chance to enjoy it. So I'm glad I went back to it. It will definitely be a reread someday. I don't know when, but someday. And so I'm going to do a book talk on this in the near future, and I'll tell you my thoughts on some of maybe the individual stories in there and the ones that I really liked. So finished that this morning, so that's awesome. That's actually, if you don't include the Neanderthal, the last Neanderthal, the book that I had started at the end of December and finished the first, I think, 2 days of January. If you don't count that, because that's kind of an in-between months book, this is my first finished book of the month. I know that's kind of slow, but I've had a couple big books going, and this just happens to be the first one I've finished. So putting that aside, and I'll be able to look into James Michener and see which one of his books I'm going to pick up next. They're all big monsters. It might be a month or two before I pick them up, because I have actually a couple other books in the works right now that I want to get to. So fiction-wise, the next one that I am going to get to that I've actually gotten started is Kristin Hannah's The Great Alone. And it's about a family that moves, that's kind of on hard times a little bit with whatever's going on in life around it's post-Vietnam, and they moved to Alaska, and it's about their life in Alaska. And I got it started. I'm a little ways into it. It's a good book. I just put it down because of other stuff I was reading, but this is my next target for my fiction reads. So I usually have, one fiction book going and a couple different nonfiction. So that is my plans for fiction, and my plans for nonfiction is nothing new because I got to get things finished. But the Zealot and the Emancipator, the story about Abraham Lincoln and John Brown. I'm doing a buddy read with Peg over at the History Shelf. Thoroughly enjoying this, although I have not picked it up in. It's been a couple days since I picked it up because I've been trying to finish Tales of the South Pacific. I kind of saw the light at the end of the tunnel with that one, and so I really wanted to get that finished. So I got to get back to this. I've been reading. Our plan was to get it done this month, and if you look at the chapters and everything, you can read about 2 chapters a day and be done by the end of the month. And so I've got to get to reading because I'm behind by a couple chapters. But the chapters, they flow. I mean, it's very fast-paced and entertaining, and I'm enjoying the book. And so when I get done with this video, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to try to get caught up this morning on where I should be in my reads. And then, of course, I've got the big, thick William Manchester book, American Caesar, Douglas MacArthur, 1880 to 1964. Thoroughly enjoying this, although I haven't picked it up since last weekend. So I got to get back into that. I am right there in the reading. So it's 160 pages in. It's a big book. It's a big book, but I'm really, really enjoying this book. And the other thing that I had planned maybe to look for, and I might do this today, is I think I'm going to go to one of our local libraries in a neighboring town. I'm going to go, and there's some books that I think I'm going to try to find. We've been watching Hallmark mysteries in my house, and we were watching the Martha's Vineyard mysteries, and that's one of them that we kind of like. It's family friendly for the most part, and just kind of easygoing stories. And at the very beginning, it flashed up that that's actually a book series with the author's name. So I looked up the book, looked on the web page for our local library, and they've got, I think, 4 or 5 different books that he wrote on Martha's Vineyard mysteries. And so I'm really looking forward to checking that out. I think the author's name was Philip Craig, I think is his name. So if anybody out there knows anything about Philip Craig, Martha's Vineyard mysteries, please let me know what you think. I'm going to try to get one at the library here real soon and give it a try and just see if I like those. And then I actually made a whole list of other books, and maybe I'll share that in a later video. But I got some big reading plans for this year, and I'm glad to finally get one of them knocked out, and I'll have another one knocked out here this week. I will finish the Zealot and the Emancipator this week, so I'm pretty excited about that because I like H.W. Brands. Those that follow the channel know I love Lincoln, and John Brown's an interesting character. So anyway, I hope everyone's having a great week and getting plenty of reading in. I don't know about the rest of the nation. We've got talks about another big snowstorm moving in the next couple days, and it's either going to be rain or snow, but moisture moving in. So we'll see what that does to our week at school. So everybody stay safe, stay warm, enjoy your reading, and be on the lookout for that Q&A video. I'm pretty excited about that, so I'll get to work on that here probably later today, maybe tomorrow, right in there. So thank you for watching. I hope everyone has a great day. Happy reading.